Hello, I'm Mark Baer. You're watching the YourTown television program. My guest, Darren Lovecchio, photographer.
Photographer.
I love it.
Hi, how are you?
So we've just met. We've fallen in love. It's wonderful.
That's right. This courtship going on
Yeah,
here.
and so I just kind of want to talk about this. So we're having an event at the West End. I have a
Yeah.
space, and you
Yeah.
walked into my space.
Yes, I did.
And started taking some photographs and told me a little bit about yourself.
Right.
As a had come into photography as a firefighter.
Right.
And how you entered a room that when you look at photography, you're training all those years when you walked into a fire, a situation, your life skills, how you had to pay detailed attention to everything that was in the scene that you'd stepped into.
Yeah.
And that and it just never dawned on me to look like that, because as artists, we're always trying to see in new ways and see in more detailed ways.
Right.
So you had 25 years of experience before you even got into this. So let's talk about how you did this in your journey.
It was, it's funny. I've had that question asked so many times where, how'd you go from fireman to medic to photographer? And I'm like, well, and for a while I thought about it, but we in the fire service, we talk about situational awareness. But as I ended up getting hurt a few years back and having to retire out, I've always walked around and just kind of observing things detail-wise, stepping back and looking at the big picture. And in my journey as a medic and fireman, I get to see some pretty dark stuff in the humankind world. And so even before I picked up the camera, I would seek out these beautiful, our local sunsets, or just places that were serene and peaceful, just to keep my balance after a rough night at work. And when I decided to pick up the camera again, I originally learned a little bit about it when I was doing journalism and yearbook stuff in high school, learned with film. I decided to get the camera stuff going again, actually with my fiancee, Tiffany Johnson, as the retirement was finished, and now what to do with the limitations I had physically. And the camera stuff just worked out. And all of a sudden I've evolved into the last 3 years. Working for 65 Degrees magazine, freelancing for all kinds of special events, and it's been a really unique journey of enlightenment, both personally and through meeting new people.
So let me ask you something. When you picked up the camera and you took this seriously, and then you start putting in your thousands of hours of photography, did it feel very natural to you? Because did you feel that the development of the eye was already there?
It actually kind of did. The first thing I missed when I retired out of the fire EMS was the social components of my teammates, even patients that weren't super sick. So I liked that social interaction. So when I picked up the camera again, I had the foundation of how cameras work, the shutter speeds and the depth of field focus and the light sensitivity. I had that in my pocket. And so when I picked up the camera again, I realized I could be social and still do something that felt creative and promoting other people and helping other people in a less stressful environment. It just kind of started flowing pretty quickly.
Because, you'll look at 100 photographers' work, and one photographer will stand out. And again, that's having the detailed eye. That's knowing where to look. And in this training, it's so obvious to me why that would work, but I just never considered it, and I just find it kind of profound. So what's the biggest challenges, starting a photography business?
Just running a business in general, having business licenses, insurance, the investment, the modern day camera equipment is not cheap, as much as the digital age stuff is there. So I think the biggest challenge is laying out the foundation to actually be able to run it financially. And that's something I've never been administratively savvy. So I've been winging a lot of that as I go, but it's starting to come together. And I think the other part is making sure I had the right equipment or the right tool for the job, as we say. And I've been able to acquire some pieces. And then just the people have mentored me in the brief time out of time, because I got out and put myself in
And
front of people.
let's mention them.
Yeah, well, Manny Espinoza
Yeah.
and Rich Medell from 65 Magazine gave me the job offer after seeing a picture of mine. Jacqueline Cabot and Tribe in the Sky making me their director of photography because they liked how I saw and viewed things through the camera lens, and I'm grateful. James Chang, Top Dog Images. Mike Troutman from DMT Imaging. I mean, all these people that I've got to meet because I want to and I desire that interaction, and they've accepted me and brought me in and given me little pearls, and I've taken those pearls and evolved my own style. And
So as we're talking, your photographs are going to be in no particular order, but they're going to be washing over us.
Yes.
But what's your favorite genre?
My favorite genre is the night sky. It literally, when I was in my freshman year in high school, I took an astronomy class, and I was always fascinated. So I just recently, in fact, they'll be at the West End Festival, some shots of the Milky Way that include the Pigeon Point Lighthouse and Venus in the sky. And I'll go out there at night, and it's a long exposure stuff. You set everything up before you go. I'll sit there and take a picture that takes 25 seconds to take, but I'll spend hours just watching the sky because it's peaceful. And and then right behind that is the social events, because I like this interaction with people. I like to capture those candid moments, which is what the magazine thrives on, lifestyle or photojournalistic wise.
So so when you started, did you have a specific goal in mind, or how did it?
When I originally started with myself and Tiffany Johnson, and it's now Tiffany David Photography, we wanted to start with weddings. We thought that's what we wanted, so we took some classes, went to a big event in Nevada and Vegas called WPPI, and got back and put ourselves together and started putting packages together, and then realized the level of talent that's here is amazing, one. And the market is saturated in very many different ways. So as I started to do that, I was enjoying more just going to events and taking candid pictures. And all of a sudden that launched me in a different way. And she actually started doing newborn and portrait photography. So we kind of split ourselves into two different businesses, although we are still together. And now we're thriving. We're just now getting to a point where we're starting to get regular phone calls and regular attention, and all this stuff is evolving so fast in the last year and a half, actually, too. So I'm almost taken back by the responses I've got because of all the people that are talented out there. That people come at me and say I've got a good eye, or they like how I see things. I'm grateful, and I'm always excited to learn something new and meet new people.
So the great part of one of the greatest parts of making art is you see how the really great artists, you're part of their dance. And who are you, photographers, what are your kind of touchstones? Who are you looking at? What are you looking at more carefully? What do you kind of just see that blows your mind?
Well, I recently met in person a really iconic photographer here, Ken Doe, who now he's starting to kind of reel back on being super busy, but his eye for the landscape scenery is just truly majestic. And I was in his home last week, and then even just Manny Espinoza, how he considers himself a graphic designer before a photographer, but the way he sees and views things has helped evolve me. And then the style of the magazine itself. So shooting art itself, Paul Seftel and a few others, I've actually shot pictures of art, and literally the hardest thing I think I've ever done.
Which was beautiful photography.
Oh,
it's great stuff.
It's magical photography,
yes.
But capturing an artist's art, a painting or whatever it is, and capturing the white balance, the colors exactly as they are off the canvas or whatever medium. And then even stuff, I had the opportunity to work with Richard McDonald's sculptor group last year. And wow, that was a powerful thing with these three-dimensional bronze statues. And so I've seen a lot of some of the iconic people here and how they do things and how they even display things. And I'll walk around a room now, and like you said, I like to walk around a room and just pay attention to a mixture of the big picture and the detail. And I somehow find a way to combine those that people appreciate. And
then I like, one of the best things about the photography community here is that it's not so the walls between commercial photography, because people have to make a living, and
Right.
fine art,
Yeah.
they're very fluid and flexible, and people can go in and out of it,
Yeah.
and both sides are respected.
They really are, and early on, I remember I went to a class in business on photography. In fact, that's when I actually captured a picture of the Golden Gate Bridge that got me the job with 65 magazine. And they were saying, picking a specific genre is specializing is where you're going to be good. But, I didn't argue that, but my take on it is if you're masterful with your camera and you understand settings and how light works, and roll with that, why not bounce around some genres that are specific?
Yeah, you have to go with your own flow.
And it's
Yeah.
my flow, and
Yeah.
promoting local businesses here is also one of the big rewarding things. Shooting local fashion people, the fashion designers like Engraph, Derek Hanneman, Atomic 1800, Mary Wejo, and some of those local scenes promoting just businesses, with the interior stuff. That they're small, but they need professional photography. They don't have a huge budget for it, and I want to help them out. Kevin Armstead of Get Live 831 does a lot of that stuff too, as does AMP, local promotion of businesses and our lifestyle here, and that's important to me.
Yeah, I mean, so of all the photographic endeavors that you've been involved in, so where have you created the most impact that you feel?
I think I've created the most impact literally after the business name Impact Images was at covering local scenes, capturing those candid moments. It's how I got the attention of Jacqueline Cabot when I first came to Tribe in the Sky when it was fairly new. And I like to be in a social scene and observe the interactions and capturing those candid moments of human interaction where there's actual joy. In some of the harsh environments we have to deal with, whether it be politically or environmentally, there's still hope and joy and happiness in the world. And I like to capture that because that grabs people's emotions, I think.
So we had a conversation about community dynamism and particularly artistic dynamism. What makes it work? And what you and I discussed was how it's almost like every artist you bump into has a little piece of the puzzle, or might have a part of something that you need, and every can shift your perception just a little bit to say, oh, that's how that works. That's how that works. That's how that can be better.
Yeah, yeah.
And everybody coming in and really bringing their game.
Yeah.
Because you want people. It's art is not competitive that you're trying to outdo each other, but art is competitive in the sense that everybody's trying to lift the bar.
I think so. The collaborative environment here has been so powerful, at least in my experience, where 95% of the people I've approached artist-wise have been, you approach them with this open mind and receptive heart, if you will, of what they do and how they see or perceive things. And there's these little pearls you get when you're open to receiving those things, but just by the interaction we had that exchange already very early on, and so I continue to do that, and that continues to feed how I do things with my camera in my hand.
Because that's how an artist grows.
Yes.
Because we do spend a lot of time alone.
Yeah, right.
And
the post-production is very much alone.
Yeah,
time.
we spend a lot of time alone, but it really is important that we're having there isn't artist to artist as much conversation about. We're all dealing with many of the same issues.
Yeah, at least in art. Yeah, when you evolve.
Yeah, and so it's so interesting when we say, oh, I'm having that problem. Oh, I'm having that problem. Or what do you think? Or there's fear, there's anxiety, there's a lack of feeling importance.
Right.
There's all these insecurities that go with making art, and just it's almost a therapy to do this, but it's also hard to strive for excellence alone. You do, but you can strive even higher if you're part of a community that's striving higher.
That's always been important.
And I feel that you're an embodiment of that.
Thank you. In the fire service, you're a team. Yeah. Even on the EMS side, when I was just private ambulance, you rely on each other as a crew. And in the environment of the artist too, there's like the Facebook page, Monterey County or Monterey Photographers Group, or MoFos as they call themselves.
Yeah.
You see questions up there. I'm losing my my motivation. Can someone help and guide, and that people feel comfortable asking those questions? Hey, how can I reinvent or re-energize myself for my passion? I'm burnt out, or I'm in a writer's block, if you will. So those things are really neat that people are supportive with each other that way.
It's a luxury for an artist,
it is.
And this is a luxurious community for that. I go to some of the image makers meetings.
Right.
Wow, I mean, it's blown away how good these people are.
There is some phenomenal talent here, and that phenomenal talent going with so receptive to giving their knowledge to you freely, or at least sharing their experience to help you glean a new perspective. And I'm grateful that there's people like that out there in abundance here.
We have so Impact Images 831.
That's it.
How did that come about? Let's say that a couple of times.
Well, you know, it's funny when I thought about it, like, well, this is super original. It was particularly the 831 part. But, you know, I was trying to write down my mission statement, and one of the things I wrote down on paper a while back was that I wanted images that impact the soul and you know, move the heart. Was something I just wrote down randomly, and that's kind of how it evolved. And I had a buddy of mine, Derek Hanneman from Engraft. I had this vision of breaking the glass, and then I took a picture of that glass, and then he vectored the art for me with the Impact Images 831 over this broken glass image, and it's been my logo. And yeah, it just kind of evolved again from collaborative ideas. Okay, yeah. This is my thought, and can you vector? And then I met Derek, and you know, he's graphic arts and clothing designer guy, and we've helped each other. And that's some of the earliest collaborations I did as I started. And it's been fantastic.
And I believe Donna Shoemaker was
Donna, big time, right? Donna name dropped me to you,
and I met Donna through Greg Hawthorne,
right?
Who's a dynamic community leader. Dynamic.
There's so many great people here.
So it's just fabulous. And Donna's doing beautiful artwork.
Yeah.
And is a powerhouse. And, you know, just getting out and meeting these people. And
I met her at Tribe in the Sky.
Yeah.
And, you know, and she her own backgrounds. I mean, and then even her, you know, her husband, Brock, he's this world-class photographer. And she took a liking to what I'm getting through the lens. And I'm so grateful that some of these people that have been in this game a lot longer than I have are endorsing my journey.
Yeah.
I'm grateful.
So it's great to be part of a nurturing, caring, but standards are high here.
Yeah, right. The bar is high, and that's one of the things, you know, remaining teachable and receptive and open to ideas and concepts artistically with the camera technically is something I just grew up being that way, particularly with fire and EMS, you know, remain teachable or you're in trouble. I take that attitude with the much less stakes at hand, but it's still higher.
So,
thank you so much.
Impact Images 831, Darren Lovecchio, and what a pleasure, man.
Yeah, and we're gonna have a neat weekend coming up here with the West End Festival. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Great. Okay, you're watching the YourTown show, and we're out of here.